Welcome, everybody. You're a first timer. We had 3 new members. None of them is here as far as I know tonight, but Curtis Rounds, Zach Fortuna, and Vic Ulali. I'm not sure. He'll have to say it when he shows up the first time. First thing I want to throw out there is there's been some talk among the executive committee about reversing the order of the meetings going out into the future. We really have to do it for the month when we have next month. I guess when we have Mike Peace doing a demo. But what we've been talking about is it'd just be like, say, a 10, no more than 15-minute business meeting up front, and then do the demo. Because you got people who have a hard time staying awake as that time goes on, and the people out there on the line can just go ahead and take their face off the screen, and you don't know if they're awake or asleep. But we don't want to crowd the demonstrator with, hey, it's 9:45, let's get it over with, and it's going to limit their ability to present. And so we're talking about doing we'll see how it works out next month when we have to do it, but we're looking at going forward, having that be our routine. We'll have some discussion out there on objections to such a move.
The show and tell at the end of it.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. It'll just be a short business thing, treasurer's report and short items in the advance. And by 7:15, we'll be on to the demo. And then they can run for an hour and a half, and then we can do show and tell and challenge and what have you.
It sounds like a good idea.
Thank you.
Years ago, we had the same situation, and this was before you were reborn as a woodturner, and we tried to limit the business meeting as much as possible and the show and tell. But I think this is a good idea.
Okay.
Mainly for the person that's doing the demonstration. We owe that person our time and their expediency.
Okay, and tied in with that is we really have to, when you're doing your show and tell challenge, limit how long you are on stage, if you will. I would say no more than 7 or 8 minutes, and let people ask you questions beforehand, before the meeting or afterward, whatever, they find something interesting and curious about your work.
7 or 8 minutes is a long time. Yeah. How about 2 or 3?
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see. I don't want to put a beeper out there that's like the Gong Show, You're out of here. Okay, treasurer's report.
So last month, at the beginning of the month, we were at 6123. We took in a little over 200. We had a little over $500 worth of expenses for the tables and risers and wheel sets for the Laguna, so we can move that around. So right now we're sitting at 2801.26. So we did get three new memberships last month, so that added in there. So,
by the way, that $500 and some was all. We didn't think about this too much, but our bylaws say if you spend more than $300, it has to get voted on.
200.
200. Excuse me. We're still locked in the 1990s, or 2009 or whatever on the limit. Anyhow, that was 3 separate items that they all just kind of came due today, so no single item was over I think one of them was over 200. But we do have to have a vote to approve the $516, and that was to pay for the Amtrak display. We have to make 22 risers, like basically boxes for the display elements to sit on at the Amtrak display, and they can be used afterward for any future shows that the club or individuals maybe commits to. That was one of the items.
The only expense that required the vote was the tables, which there was a vote taken on that prior.
Okay, right.
So
The tables that you're seeing over there, the 4 tables, they were $200 and some. And then the wheels to make the Laguna portable back there were $38. All those in favor of spending $516 for those 3 wonderful items?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm not going to go with the seconding it and so on. Okay, John Ziegler, update us on what's going on with Ernie Conover, please.
So last month, we talked briefly about Ernie Conover. Had a conversation with him about doing 1 or 2 presentation sessions here on June 21st and 22nd. He will be in Lancaster anyhow, so there's no travel cost, but his daily cost is $600 to us if we do this. We could do 1 day, we could do 2 days. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. We discussed mentoring, but there didn't seem to be interest in him doing an all-day mentoring session. We did talk about doing, right now we have 6 lays. If we could get a couple more, that'd be better, so that he could give new turners some lessons. Mike Junkirk, who is not here tonight, I don't know if he's online, but he said a few years ago, Ernie came and did a soup to nuts demonstration all day Saturday, which includes sharpening and spindle turning and bolt turning and so on and so forth. And then the next day could be hands-on for any number of us. Doesn't have to be new for turner. And he would go around and give each person tips and tricks and things like that in person. The question is there interest in doing that? In fact, here comes Mike now. So maybe, do you want to say a little bit more about the 2 Ernie Conover sessions that you spoke about last month?
Yeah, it was when we were at Stevens. So we had the one, was it American Beauty? Lathe we had there. But a number of the members brought in other lathes, and it was a 2-day session. And if I recall, the first day was open to everybody. And Ernie talked from A to Z, how to sharpen, what kind of tools are what, how to use a skew, the basics. But then people kind of split out. It was the second day where he gave the 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 support per lathe.
Right.
Okay. Primarily, he worked on the American Beauty on Saturday, and just turned and talked, and we spent quite a bit of time helping the sharpening, physics, characteristics. Talked about metal, gave the history of his father and his business, the making of the Conover lathes. Right. So it's very interesting.
Can I add to that comment? One of the things Ernie concentrated on, and I'm going to be talking a little bit tonight, is spindle turning. And
Yes.
so that the Sunday session was like everybody was turning spindles and doing all the codes and everything. Everybody can do both, but Ernie is a really excellent spindle turner and knows that technique. So as far as I'm concerned, I learned a lot at those sessions.
That's a good point, Doug. He really did focus on spindles.
And using the skew and everything like that. So that's where I know there's a lot of us that aren't that comfortable with the skew. So
Right. So we need to make a decision, I would say by next month, John. I don't know what you think about that, but June 21st and 2nd, he is going to be here anyhow. So he wouldn't be making a special trip for us. But I think out of courtesy, we ought to let him know, probably no later than the May meeting, but ideally, pretty good idea next month. Who's interested in attending a Saturday session where Ernie talks, kind of like what Mike just described. And then Sunday would be hands-on. I don't know if we can get a couple more smaller lathes here, but it'd be good to have more rather than less.
Again, we actually bought a bunch of lathes from the York Club because they had a few extras for demonstrations. And the other part was that for the Sunday session, those who participated actually ponied up for like $25 or $30. So it wasn't for the full cost, but it was at least a sort of a commitment cost.
Well, that's kind of the last point I was going to make, which is I don't know if the club wants to spend $1,200 for 2 days of Ernie's expertise. I broke down different ways of looking at it. I don't have the sheet, it's over there, but for instance, if 24 people came to Saturday to watch him all day and 16 people came on Sunday, it would break down to something like $33 a day for each person. And so the people that came Saturday and Sunday would have like $66. But I don't know if there's that kind of interest here or if the club wants to talk about having the club subsidize some or, how much of Ernie's expense.
All I can say is, as Doug just said, if your weakness is maybe spindle turn, it's worth $100 to be with him for 2 hours, 3 hours, because he's going to sit there and he's going to help you get over that hump of the fear of, and I just think that, I'd be all supportive for it. I support coming both days, even though I've already done it with him. But he's nonstop in terms of talking, and it's all instructional. Some of it is, in context to what he's learned and people that he's worked with, and he's a fascinating man.
So we're not going to make a decision tonight, but Tom and I and the Rick and Barry will talk about this and probably send out an email through Tom in preparation for next meeting. And maybe next meeting we can get a show of hands. I don't know how many people on Zoom are actually able to be here, but between Zoom and the folks here, it'd be good to have an estimate of who's going to do this, because it'd be good if we had a commitment and not just a show of hands and then people say at the last minute, I couldn't make it, because that's not going to work.
John, another idea would be the Sunday, as an example, or either day, limit the attendance to 1 or 2 people per lathe,
right? And
they carry the burden for the day, so that you're committed,
right?
You're into it, and $100 a head for a day's, as you know, is chicken feed.
Yeah.
So I think that would be appropriate. Limit it to 6 or 12 people.
Right.
That'll build more interest, perhaps, if it was 6, and cover it and charge $150 for the day. Put a little in the club, and it just makes sense to me.
Right.
If you pay for something, you're more apt to do it.
Oh, there's no doubt. And that's kind of what I'm looking for, is a commitment to cover these costs by the people, And I'm guessing, I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing the people that would come on Sunday hands-on would want to be here on Saturday, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that Bernie would cover that the Turners are going to put into play on Sunday.
Just again,
Yeah.
I agree with the charging some money, but what we did back when was Saturday, we tried, if it was a small charge for members, larger charge for non-members, so anybody could come, differentiated that way for the cost. And also, $100 a day is fine, but some people feel that's a stretch of their budget. So just be aware that right at the moment, for me, this is one of the things that the club provides,
right,
as opposed to a way for the club to make more money. So when you sit there and say you got $6,000 in the bank, guys, I understand that, but $1,200 suddenly doesn't sound all that much of that for the club treasury to cover the entire thing. So just be aware, we haven't done this for quite a few years.
I would just add to that. I don't have a problem with what Carl said. I don't have a problem with what Doug said, but the resources of the club are ours.
Right.
Yeah.
They came from us. To us, they shall return. So, if it's a defrayed cost so that more people could participate.
Mhm.
But it's fair or even or whatever. I mean, if you want to get to that thing, it just seems like it's too good an opportunity for new turners, and it's too good an opportunity for people who want the Sunday thing
And I think it would be
to
valuable.
haggle over $50 a person or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
That's why I'm putting it out here, because I'm not saying we need to cover the cost. I'm just saying this is what it would be if we were to cover those costs.
was there a thought from the executive committee, leadership of the club, about that issue?
I think one of the things that charging accomplishes is commitment on the part of the person that pays. So I would say, even if we want to do it for free, they pay in advance. If they don't show up, they forfeit the money. If they show up, they get their money back, or some substantial fraction of the money, half or 75%.
They're already curmudgeonly enough. You want to make them upset about that? They're forced to be here like Sunday school. Yeah.
I've been involved in several things where the commitment was there just for this purpose.
Right.
And mainly I'm going on a trip.
And I would be in favor of some nominal fee that got people here if they committed and didn't embarrass us around Ernie. Like, nobody shows, right? And also, if the club defrays some cost. As a member, I would be in favor of that option.
And just to Doug's point of the charge for Saturday, that was pretty much to help with the lunch that was brought in. Okay? And that was, you're going to feed 30 people, 40 people.
Right.
That
So
could
it
be-
will be more than 1,200 because we'll have to have some food. Now, you had
Things in the water.
Would the Saturday one be broadcast over Zoom for those members that are in New York or out of the state? Or
I don't see a reason why. I mean, we're paying,
Sunday wouldn't make sense because it's too hands-on
Right,
at
but
every
I
lake.
think that would make
Saturday
sense.
wouldn't.
Yeah,
It's doable.
yeah.
I mean, you'd have to get permission from Ernie on that, because now we're talking about his IP,
Those aren't recorded.
from which he makes.
I'm not recording it and saving it for posterity or.
Well, but if you're creating additional revenue,
I think that is good.
you might want to
Out
share.
of courtesy,
that.
we should ask Ernie if he has a problem with that. Angela?
Talking about taking advantage of well-known woodturners being in town. In September, you have Alan Lacer,
Yes.
Stuart Batty, and Keith Gotcha, all of whom are world-class turners. And I would check with them for September,
Okay.
if you can get a day with them here, either demonstrating or teaching. I know Alan Lacer firsthand is an excellent teacher. I don't know Stuart Batty's teaching, but I do know his demos are.
I know he won't be available.
Well, we can see all of them at the Mid-Atlantic, right?
Right.
You can, but you can't take a lesson from them.
Right, okay, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a thought I threw
That's
out
good. That's a good idea.
there.
Yeah, so it sounds like from what I'm hearing that there's enough interest that it seems like we want to go forward with it. It's just a matter of how the money's going to flow.
Yeah.
I would say.
And make sure the club is okay with that,
Right.
because to your point, several people made it. Everybody put money into this kitty. There should be some benefits that flow back.
And we did, I think last month I sent out an interest email. What did we get, like 6 people that were 6 or 7 that were firmly committed?
Yeah.
So we do have that base
All right.
knowledge too, so.
I'll touch base with Ernie just to talk about the Zoom notion, and I'll tell him that we think that we're going to go forward. We just need to figure out the particulars.
What was the target date again?
Well,
There's no target date, it is the date.
It's the date.
He will be up here. There is a target date.
yeah, June 20, I think it's 20th and 21st. It's a Saturday and Sunday in June.
That could limit, well,
That'd be 22 and
not too
23.
many of our members have kids that are going to be
22,
out of
23.
school, but.
Is that what it is?
It would be 22, 23, that's the Saturday and Sunday.
I'll confirm again, but I think that's what it is. And then last thing, Barry, during the executive committee, Barry and I were talking about this. I think the challenge for May are jigs. It's jigs?
June.
Oh, June, sorry, June. And one thought for the demo is somebody or multiple people bring in jigs that they've made, either for an extended show and tell, so it really wouldn't be show and tell, it would be in place of a single demonstrator, or if somebody has Barry has done his spiraling jig as a demo for the whole
I
demo.
won't do that again. I won't put them through that.
Thank you.
I got a new jig.
Barry's got a brand new jig. So anyhow, just think about that.
Barry's got a brand new.
Yeah, Barry's got a brand new jig. Yeah.
That's not a threat, that's a promise.
So just think about that. Anybody that has or will have a jig or jigs that they'd like to show as part of maybe a combined demo or a singular demo. We have a few months to figure that out. So I just wanted people to think about that. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Amtrak display, status update. John Kelsey.
Yeah, we got together on the Zoom on the 27th and went through all the pictures that people submitted. We had 30 people put in pictures, about 110 objects. And we talked about them on Zoom for a while, and then we had a meeting here on Sunday morning of the committee. And the committee is Matt and Thomas and Mike Junkhurst and myself. And we went through all the pictures and dealt them out like cards and sorted them into like with like and worked with them for several hours. We laid out the size of the plinths in the display cases and taped it out, divided it into 28 boxes, and started to group things, and it started to make sense. And I'll be getting back to you in the next couple of days with which of your pieces we would like to have in the display. Barry is going to build some risers. He talked about that already, so we get some vertical separation. It's going to be a very, very strong display. What I guess I'd like everybody to know is we would like your work to be here by the April meeting. We need the month of April now to get signage, to fool around with this stuff, and do all the other things we have to do. So I will be getting in touch with everybody this week with these are the pieces that we're accepting into this exhibition. Please get them here by the April meeting. And for people who are not going to come to the April meeting for whatever reason, if you can get them to my house or to Barry's house, we'll bring them here for you. I will also be sending you out a form with the information we need about each piece, which is the name of the piece, the woods, any other materials, the finish, and the dimensions. Dimensions can be length, width, height, or they can be diameter and height. Thomas?
Well, just wanted to mention that since the work is going to be here for a while before it goes into the display, when you bring your work, please make sure it is protected however you would like your work to be protected if it were sitting around a shop for a month.
It has to be transported into the entrance.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna handle the art respectfully, but I would just say don't bring it in on a paper bag or hand it to us at the meeting time. Wrap it in a towel, do something with it to protect it.
Bring it in a cardboard box as simple as
cardboard box with some peanuts.
And I'm pretty clear on who belongs to who, but make sure your name is on it so we know for sure. And yeah, I'll be getting back to you, as I say, online this week with what I've done is taking pictures of all this stuff, and I'll put it out to each of you.
Your name is on the piece, not on a piece of tape. On the piece.
On the
Your
piece.
name, you've signed
On
the
the
piece. It's going in an exhibition. You just got to sign.
Okay. Anybody else on that? Okay. And then just to remind you, the exhibition actually will be up. I think it's the 10th of May. I'm not sure. I'll be confirming that with the Lancaster Arts Commission lady later this month. And it'll be up until August. So the work is gone from when it comes in here in April through August. If you want to sell work, then you need to put a price on it and your own contact info. Otherwise, it will assume it's not for sale, and we won't be putting your contact information on there unless you want it on there for some reason. What I'm saying really mean is the club is not going to get in between people who want to sell work and their customers. You want to sell work, deal directly with the customers. Michael.
We can presume that we'll have signage that says this will be available after this date. Because if somebody wants to buy it for a wedding,
They can work it out with the guy they're talking
they
to.
just need to understand that it's not going to be available until after.
Yeah, it's not for sale out of the case.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, the open shop will be this Saturday. And any other thing I brought in, if anybody has any interest in back issues of, or not an AEW member, back issues of the Woodturner, there's a cardboard box sitting there with about 4 years worth of the magazine, they're free to take, if you want to take them home with you. A lot of great ideas. Even though you can just fascinate on what they've done, it can give you an idea to screw something up. Been there.